Hi everyone, my name is Lauren. I am from the Student Learning Support Service, and in today's video we are going to talk about writing style, or more specifically, how to write clearly, concisely, and precisely. So let's get into it. Now, no matter your discipline or what form you're writing in, whether it's an essay, a reflection, a lab report, whatever, there are several features of good academic writing. Firstly, and really importantly, good academic writing knows its purpose and its audience. It knows who it is for, and why it is for them. So is the purpose of your writing to demonstrate your knowledge? Is it to convince your reader of an argument? Is it to explain your research findings? Knowing this is really important because it helps you figure out exactly what you need to communicate to that audience to ensure that your goal is achieved by the end of your paper. Now, once we've figured that out, we can start to actually think about the best language that we can use to achieve our goal. And this is really what the focus of our video is today. Because the second feature of really good academic writing is that it is clear, precise, and concise. And trust me, a lot of students struggle with this. And it's not surprising, reading academic work can be difficult, and we can often feel that our own writing should be long and complex and wordy in order to sound academic. But this is not necessarily the case. In fact, not necessarily, this is not really the case at all. Your ideas will be complex, your analysis will be complex, your evaluations will be complex. Your language and style don't need to be. So we're going to focus on each of these three elements, and I'm going to give you some tips to help ensure that your reader doesn't get lost in your overly long, overly complex sentences. So clarity is the first and I would say most important of the three, and indeed conciseness and precision are really all about helping you achieve clarity or clearness. Clear writing is about ensuring that your reader understands exactly what you mean and that they can follow the logic of your ideas and your discussion. It means choosing your words carefully to avoid ambiguity and misinterpretation, ensuring that your sentences have a clear subject. So who is the sentence about, or what is the sentence about? A single word or a single phrase that is the center of that sentence. And what are they doing? What is the main verb that drives the sentence forward before you add extra information or extra clauses? And making sure that you avoid generalizations and vagueness. So before you start writing, ensure that you understand what you want to say, okay? Understand the topic, the content of your writing. If you don't fully understand what your content is and why that content is important, how can you expect your reader to? Let's look at this paragraph, okay? Now, first, what I'm looking for here is just what is unclear about it, okay? I'm going to come to conciseness and preciseness in a moment. Now, for me, the first sentence is pretty unclear, okay? So what is this method referring to? A research method? Also, the sentence suggests that we're making a comparison, but it hasn't revealed what the promotional strategies are being compared to. I should probably add that in. And is gains really the best, clearest word that could be used here? I think what they might mean is advantages. Now, the structure of this second sentence is also quite unclear. See how it has two clauses that show a cause and effect connection, the words because and due to, which makes it unclear what the relationships between those cause and effects are. Also, the word vehicle is probably not the best one to use. Like, what kind of vehicle do we mean? A literal vehicle like a car, or a vehicle like a mode or a method? If the vehicle is television, let's fix that. Now, conciseness is all about saying as much as you can in as few words as possible. And you might actually be surprised at how few words you actually need to express an idea. To achieve conciseness, Use short, direct words and phrases, the shortest, most direct version of a word that you can. So another thing to look for to achieve conciseness is repetition and redundancies. We often don't realize how often we say the same thing twice in a slightly different way. So this means not just looking for actual words themselves that have been repeated, but really importantly, when an idea or concept has been repeated or when the meaning of something has been repeated. Another tip, use strong and specific verbs or doing words in favor of adverbs, which are words that describe verbs, and adjectives, which are words that describe nouns. So he declared rather than he loudly and confidently said. So let's return to our paragraph. Now, firstly, what is really the difference between advantages and benefits in terms of meaning? Very little. So I'm going to chop one of those out. Next, television networks is not only redundant, it's also a little bit misleading. The medium of television, like the actual physical television itself, is the thing that has audio-visual features, not the networks. The networks are who publish television shows. Also, hugely increased is an example of using an adverb to describe a verb rather than just picking a better verb. Another problem with this is, how do I measure huge? It's not very concise or precise. Now, there's also a few problems with this next sentence. Firstly, I don't know what the number 744 refers to, but I'm going to come back to that when I look at precision. Otherwise, there's some repetition between the first and second half of the sentence and in the following sentence. Plus, there's a bit of redundancy in the phrase quite even. So let's condense this. Now, precision is all about avoiding ambiguity and misinterpretation. Some words have multiple meanings and they can change depending on context, and you don't want your reader to come away with the wrong message. The more specific your writing is, the clearer and more confident you're going to sound. So if you know a specific quantity or unit of measurement, if you know a specific day or time or place or name of something, use it, especially at the beginning of paragraphs or when you're first introducing something. Once that's been made clear, you can then sometimes use shortcuts afterwards if it's very clear to your reader that you're still talking about the same thing. Another tip is to use qualifiers, which are the words that either limit or enhance the meaning of other words, only when necessary. Qualifiers can be quite subjective. You know, what is, as I used in the last example, huge to one person may not be huge to another. So being specific about quantities helps us avoid these kinds of subjective interpretations of qualifying words. Next, consider jargon use very carefully and whether or not your reader is likely to know and understand what the word means, or if it's something that you maybe need to define. And this, again, depends on what your purpose is and who your audience is. Basically, your aim is to be as specific as you can be, as often as you can be. If you know information that's important for your reader, put it in. So let's have a look at this again in our example. This first sentence, now I know I'm talking specifically about my research, not just any research. So I'm going to change the word the to this to make that clearer and more specific to my reader. Next, it doesn't really specify what type of advertising campaign this paragraph is discussing until the third sentence. So I'm going to move that information up, specified early. Then I can cut the repetition in the third sentence and the reader will still know what type of campaign I'm talking about. Next, as the second sentence begins with, for instance, it's not clear whether I'm referring to a, more broad or general example of television or to the specific advantages of this company, Cloud Forest's television advertising. Now, of course, I really need to specify what this unit of measurement is all about. So I'm going to say that there was an increase of 744 new users. Now, I could keep playing with this paragraph. I could keep making it tighter, more concise, more precise, but hopefully this has demonstrated to you some of the key things to look for in order to make your own writing clear, precise, and concise. for more about some of the grammatical techniques that I used to do this, you can see a bunch of the SLSS writing guides available on the website or on Flow, specifically the writing style guide, which is the companion piece really to this video. But otherwise, I hope this has given you a few tips, a few things to look for. Remember, a lot of this happens when we're drafting, not when we're writing the first draft, but when we're editing. So don't be afraid to get it wrong first and then come back and fix it later, because that's why we edit. All right, so that's all from me. Good luck. I will see you next time.